In this video, we're going to talk about Access 2016. Access is a database program that is used by a large number of companies to keep track of their inventory or maybe their sales team. A lot of companies have databases, but they don't necessarily use Access as a database. The reason we have this little blurb of Access in the class is so that you understand what a database is and maybe understand some of the nuances of what a database does. So here in Access you have the text, which is really good, from Access Basics, managing databases, tables, queries, forms, and reports. And you're going to be doing all of these things in one Access database. So if we click on Access Assignments, I'm going to open up the text, and we're going to be doing a family database, a real small database here. So I'm going to go ahead and make that over halfway. First thing we have to do is open up Access. So when you open up Access, you'll notice right away that it's a little different from your other programs. Before you can do anything in a database, you have to save it, you have to name it. So we have all of these little templates that we could choose from for our databases, where you just click on that and then you start adding the information in that you want. What we're going to use is this blank database, desktop database, and don't double click it. Just click it one time to select it. Then we're going to have this little box here, and it says, okay, do you want to create one? And then here's where you're going to type in the database name. So we're going to call this Family Database. And right here it's asking us, well, where do you want to save it? Do you want it at the default location, which is this line right down here? Well, I want to make sure it goes on my desktop. So I'm going to click on that little envelope and come over here, choose Desktop, Family Database, it's an Access, and say OK. And now I'm going to create the database. So before you can do anything, you have to create the database. Now when we get into Access, you'll notice right away that the ribbon and everything is exact same as far as how it's laid out. There are some things in Access that are unique to Access, like the external data and the database tools. You'll notice here in the work area it looks kind of like Excel. You probably notice some lines and columns and rows on yours at home. Each column is called a field, and so think of them as headers from Excel. You know, maybe we have our first name, our last name, our address, our city. It's a field that has just one item in it. And rows are the records. So like if I'm doing a family database and I've got last name and first name, well then I'm going to have a different last name and first name for everybody. And each one of them is going to have their own record. Now we can click up here and add our headings and our names to that, but the easiest way to do it by far is by changing the view. Right now, if you'll notice down here at the bottom, we're in Data Sheet View. And Data Sheet View is where you can add and record, you can change information in your records. If we come up here to this little View button on the Table Tools, and I'm going to change it to Design View. And the first thing it's going to do is ask us to give the table a name. So I'm going to cancel this real quick. So I'm going to pull up the instructions here, and I'm going to come back here, go to Design View, and we need to name this Table Address Book. And then we're going to say OK. And you notice over here in our navigation pane, it's where we can see our objects, we now have one called Address Book. And over here in our Design View, you can see it looks a little bit different. When you're in Design View, you can only change the design. You can't do anything with the records. All you're messing with is like the headings. and the data type and that type of thing. Right down here you'll notice that there's a little golden key. That's the unique identifier field, and each table should have a unique identifier. And what a unique identifier is something that's unique to just one person, like your driver's license number. You can't use your social security number, but that's a good example of something that's uniquely identifying. Your school ID number uniquely identifies you and no one else. And so those can be your primary keys. And you always want to have a primary key in a table, and to add a primary key or delete one, you would just choose the field that you're wanting, and you can just click and unclick the primary key. Now this first one, we're going to change this field name to FN number, so it's going to be family name number. So instead of the ID, we're going to do a family name number. Over here in the data type, if I click on this arrow, there's lots of different data types that we can choose from. We're just going to be using short text in all of our fields for this particular database. But you can see we can do long text, we can do numbers, we can do date, time, currency, yes or no. So if you have a yes or no question, you can click on that. We're just going to use short text. And then description is where you can put what is that field supposed to be used for. So in this case, we're going to make sure that Aunt Gertrude knows when she comes in here that that FN number is a unique identifier for the family. And yes, I really do have an Aunt Gertrude. Down here at the bottom is our field properties. And you can see our field size is 255 characters. That's by default. Now we don't need that many for our family number. We only need 2. So I'm going to change that to 2. If we had a particular way we wanted to format the information in this field, maybe we have a telephone number and we want it to always look the same way, we can do an input mask. We can put a caption on the field. We can say, hey, it's required. You have to have that field. Since it's a unique identifier, we're going to leave that alone. So now we're going to go down to the next row, so you can either tab or click up here in our field name. The next field name is last name. And again, we're going to be using short text. We don't have any notes or descriptions for this one, but down here in our field size, we want to change this to 25. I'm going to go down to the next one, which is first name. And it's short text, and it's also 25. The next one is street, short text, and we're just going to leave 20 characters for the street. City, short text, and it's also going to be 20. And the state, short text, and this time we're going to do 2 because we just want to use the 2 state abbreviations. And then zip code. Oops, I hit the wrong key. And it's going to be short text as well, and we're just going to use the 5-digit zip code. So here are all of our fields in our database along with their data types. If I come up here to view, I can change that now back to data sheet view. Oh, and it first tells me I have to save the table. This is one thing that's really neat about PowerPoint, is that you don't have to worry about saving, because if you don't save, it'll remind you. So I'm going to say yes. And now here is my table in data sheet view, and it is all ready to enter information. So if we're going to come down here to the next area, we're going to be adding records to the table. So we've got our protractor icon up here, and here in our in your text you have 5 different names that you can put in there. And the key, you can either use these or just use information on your own. Just make sure that you have 3 different states that your entries are from. 3 different states. You can make up your information or use the information that we provide here for you. So you're just going to type the information in, As you type the information in, when you get down to zip code and you hit the enter key, it's going to automatically move you down to the next record. You can also hit tab key to go from record or from field to field. So let's go ahead and enter the information. Once you have all the data entered in, you can see you have a little star sign here. This is where your next record would go. Down at the bottom it lets us know we're on record 6F6, and you can use the arrows here to navigate between your records. And what you want to do now is save that information, and we want to close the table. We don't want to close the database unless you're ready to take a break. We're going to close the table, so we're going to come up here and click on this little X, and that's going to close our address book, and that is how you make a table.